All right, let's take a look here. Ah, I see. It appears you have a most frightful affliction, an obsession with fear and thrill, and a proclivity for frequenting haunted houses. Yes, this is a very tricky situation to treat, but it can be done. I am Dr. Singer, a psychiatric professional of sorts. So believe me when I say that the only way to cure your particular disease is to pull back the curtain to see just how they get the house haunted. Don't just take it from me, though. I've treated many like you before, and I've compiled their testimonials to calm your nerves. Please, direct your attention to the television.
Everything. I loved everything about haunted houses.
I used to going in and getting scared.
Constantly go there with my parents and kind of work your way up from the haunted corn maze.
I would go there all the time with friends, family. It was a big tradition.
So I knew it was a problem when I ended up being late to work because I had traveled, too far and got stuck in a storm for going to a haunted house. It was probably my fourth one that week. So I went online and I found this Dr. Singer who had gotten good reviews, and in retrospect, they're extremely well deserved.
Ever since my favorite guy in the whole wide world, Dr. Singer, fixed my brain, my world has been changed. It's so much better.
Super nice individual, real great to work with.
He really was just so patient and kind through the whole process, and I really thought some of his treatments were a little old school. Like, it kind of reminded me of things I've read about Broadmoor Asylum and maybe, but old school doesn't mean bad.
You're restrained basically the first time for therapy.
When he put me down in that chair and then strapped a big metal bucket on my head.
And then I didn't see anything until I woke up and he was like, oh yeah, we just did a little quick lobotomy. And I was like, oh my gosh, great.
A steady drip of liquid dimethyltryptamine.
30 days in the darkness alone.
Did you enjoy it? And I was like, yes. And he was like, did you feel any pain? And I was like, kinda.
Almost like projections, like charades, like on a wall. They were just shadows that it required a light to be there in order to cast those shadows. So I was able to see that light.
I made a bunch of new friends that I didn't know I had up here, and they're with me all the time now.
I got this other guy coming in. We're gonna put him in a little electric chair. Oh, what a fun time that sounds.
40,000 volts later, man, I was shocked at just how much it worked.
And now I just couldn't imagine going through the phoniness of a haunted house when really any house or any situation could be haunted, but you just create that in your own mind.
But truly, I wouldn't be where I am today without Dr. Singer, and for that, I'm forever grateful.
Moral of the story is, come see Dr. Singer. What a fantastic man.
Now, it says here in your chart that you frequent the abandoned haunted house complex. Well, for our first round of treatment, I had one of my assistants create a video about one of the owners of abandoned, Corey Stevens. Yes, surely his insights on the haunt will begin to clear that plague in your mind. Please, direct your attention to the television and don't look away. I'll be watching very closely.
My name is Corey Stevens, and I'm the owner-operator of the haunted house.
For 15 seasons, Corey Stevens has worked to make the abandoned haunted house complex the best that it can be. And it starts the moment the haunt closes.
I'm here probably 3 to 4 days a week on the off-season. Mainly, we're going to be tearing apart old scenes, things that don't work as well anymore. And sometimes you just have to change things up. I mean, people are expecting to see new things every single year that they come. So you want to do something significant enough so when they get here, they notice a big change.
New rooms aren't the only thing on this fear-filled plate, though. The old rooms need plenty of tender love and care.
So not only are we building new scenes, but we're fixing it and making sure that the scenes that we had in the past are safe and put together well. And a lot of people go through like a bull in a china shop. When they're going through, they're like pushing each other into walls and, you know, tripping over each other. And so everything has to be nailed down, glued down, but things come loose. And so we spend a lot of time just fixing scenes that have been destroyed from the season prior.
But who is this we that Corey keeps mentioning? Surely such a large project has many people contributing, right?
Yeah, a lot of haunted houses have crews of 10, 20, 30 people that work year-round to do it. And we've always, just the two of us, we've done it since the very beginning. Every single wall, every single screw, every single thing in this building has been touched by myself and Matt. That's it.
So, through blood, sweat, and toil, these two men work full-time in the off-season, preparing for eager haunted housegoers. But how many customers can get through the haunt in a night?
It's in the thousands that we get through on our busiest nights. If you come to a haunted house at the beginning of the season, you're going to be sent through in a group of 2, 4, 6. The groups can be spaced a lot longer apart than on a busy night. But it seems like all of our customers want to come the third weekend of October. It happens every single year. And on that night, we are sending through groups of 35 people maybe every 2 minutes.
That's a lot of people. A lot of people who, presumably, move at a different pace. How does the haunt deal with that?
Trying to crowd control, we call it, is one of the most difficult things in a haunted house. There's no haunted house that has this down to a science. I mean, my brother-in-law is guilty. He's the worst. He wants to look at every single prop. He wants to take his time. He's intrigued by all the artistic stuff that goes into the sets and everything. The group behind him might be screaming and running from people. So there's no good, every single haunted house struggles with this problem. One thing we tell our employees is you always want to scare people or scare people forward, and because they need to keep moving on those busy nights, like we need to keep that crowd control. If that first person stops and everyone starts to slow down behind, 200 people back or 100 people back, they might be standing still for 20, 30 seconds. And as a scare actor, trying to scare somebody for 20, 30 seconds is super difficult to keep their attention, keep them scared without the reality kind of coming back. So we want to keep people moving. So our actors always scare forward.
Ah, yes, the actors. But how many actors does it take to staff the haunt?
We have about 30 haunt actors per haunted house, and we have 3 haunted houses. So it's anywhere between 90 and 100 scare actors per night.
But what if someone calls in sick? What if multiple people call in sick?
We've easily had 20, 25 people request and call in sick on one day. We have what we consider spots that they have to be manned, and then we have spots that we call flex spots. So if somebody does call in sick, we generally will pull the person from the flex spot and put them into a spot that's a necessary spot. So we can either be fully staffed and have all those flex positions manned, or if X amount of people call in sick, the flex spots might be open, but everything else is manned. So the customer would generally not know the difference.
The actors are set. The building is built. Now it's time for the scare. How does one make a good scare?
The best way to get a good scare is for the customer to see a very specific path to get somewhere, and then through lighting and the build to have areas where our actors can hide, so the person doesn't even know that space exists, so they don't think that any scare is going to come from that spot. It's all kind of the distraction of making people think they're safe and then hitting them from a side that they're not expecting it from.
Getting a good scare seems like it should be timeless. But for years, haunted houses have been stepping up their game. Why is that?
Haunted houses used to be black walls, mazes, masks, things like that. And that's just not the case anymore. Haunted houses have gone way more professional. I would say that it was kind of starting that way about 15 years ago when we started, leaning towards a more professional haunted house, but things have definitely taken off. And I think a lot of it has to do with the internet, CGI. Like our teenagers today, they can see almost anything on CGI. So if they were just to go through a haunted house with some silly rubber masks, it would not scare them at all.
Clearly, Corey has high standards for the haunt and has put in a lot of time and effort to see his standards through. You may have even noticed that Corey is wearing 3 layers. That's because the haunt is not heated. Out here, in the bitter winter cold, why does he go through all the trouble?
I love the artistic part of envisioning something in my head and then being able to go and build it from scratch. To me, it's a challenge. Like, I love a challenge. But then I love also seeing when people go through and exiting and saying, hey, that was the best thing I've ever been to. I mean, this is amazing. So I think it's a little of both. I really enjoy the physical part of building, but I also love the end product where people are coming and enjoying what we've built.
This simply doesn't make any sense. I don't... Ah, yes. Welcome back. Please, take a seat. These are the results of the previous treatment. I don't know how to say this exactly, but it appears that they have not been productive. Concerningly, it appears that they have actually been counterproductive. But worry not. The rhyme and reason of psychiatry never fails. We must keep our heads on straight and stay the path. Now, the next round of treatment I have prepared for you is a meeting with the other owner of the abandoned haunted house complex, a Matt Berg, to be precise. By revealing the creative vision of the haunt, I am confident that you will be well on your way to recovery. Yes, well on the way.
My name is Matt. I am the operations and general manager here at Abandoned Haunted House Complex. Previously to the haunted house industry, I did a lot of theater. Essentially, we're building sets and scenes for an environment for our guests to go through, as well as for our employees to work in. And just like theater, the only thing that's different is guests get to walk through the show as opposed to sit down in the audience and actually just see the show.
Using his creative roots, Matt takes a particular charge in designing the new scenes for the haunt, and he starts well before the previous season ends.
The process of building a new scene actually generally starts 2 or 3 years prior to when we actually build that scene. Designing a room, a lot of times the idea is just something that's in my brain, something that kind of, you think, okay, this might be a cool idea, something that we can add, or maybe a general area that we think might be really neat. We try to think outside of what the trends are. We like to think that a lot of the stuff that we do here is original and creative. So I think that's kind of what's beneficial, because I don't think people are coming here expecting to see, zombies are cool right now, so let's go see that haunted house because they have zombies. I think people are coming here because they're coming for a unique experience. The ideas are just kind of generally written down on a piece of paper that kind of goes into our bucket of ideas. While we're open, we try to find the best spots for those scenes to work in, and then that's where we actually would build those scenes in. I'll start kind of sketching out some ideas. Me and Corey will kind of go back and forth to figure out, okay, what makes the most sense? How can we make this happen in the environment that we're in? And then from there, it's really just start getting materials, start building, start designing, getting everything rolling.
Part of that grand design is, of course, the scares. What kind of dastardly thought goes into those?
And generally, when people walk into an environment, they're almost always looking for scares. They're trying to figure out which way it's going to come from, and it's really just the unexpected. So, if we had the scene before, maybe they scared from the left, the next room we might want to scare from above. And I think another thing that is really beneficial for us is just misdirection, right? So placing an object where you think something might happen, like for example, a casket. If there's a body in a casket, someone's going to assume that body's going to lift up, but they're not expecting someone's going to crawl from underneath it or something like that. So it is really the unexpected is the biggest scare.
To make something unexpected, it stands to reason that you have to know what guests are expecting. But how is such foresight possible?
Where guests are going to look is really actually determined by us. So with us and our ability to adjust the lights and the things that we want them to see, then their eyes are automatically going to focus on that. So if we want them to look left, if we illuminate the left slightly brighter, they will look left. And we kind of use that to our advantage to put the scare on the right.
So the planning can take years. But how long does it take to actually build the new scenes?
On average, it takes us, I would say, between 3 to 6 months to build a new scene for the haunted house. The difference is that we're not ripping out one room and saying, let's change that. We rip out full sections. Like the current build for this season, for example, consists of about 5 massive rooms that are getting completely redone.
As a quick reminder, the we that he's referring to is, of course,
all the design work and everything is just me and Corey. We work on it year-round. We've got a couple of occasional volunteers that'll come in and lend a hand. But for the most part, it's just me and Corey working every single day, creating the place for when we're open.
So, after years spent designing and months spent building, what does Matt consider a successful build?
I think as long as our actors enjoy what they're going through, what they're getting gets to entertain in, that kind of plays a lot as far as if we think it's going to work out. Having a scene that with really good detail, it kind of helps their imagination as well with developing and designing a character. The more that they believe that they're actually in that true environment, the more that they can be a better actor, a better character, better scare actor. So.
But surely an eerie environment isn't the only thing helping an actor to scare. And surely not just anyone can be a good scare actor.
Anyone can be a great scare actor. And we can train just about anyone as long as you're willing to participate. We do what we call Ghoul School. And Ghoul School consists of 3 days of training. First day is kind of orientation, different things, the do's and don'ts of the business. And then we kind of get into the actual Ghoul School, which is, it's more hands-on, learning different scare techniques, how to entertain guests, scare from above, below, just really trying to find their inner character and develop something. And then from there, we do a final training, which we bring everyone and do almost like a dry test run and really get them into the environment, get them understanding the music, really feeling the character. And we're always surprised with what people come up with. Watch them grow from the beginning to the end. It's just night and day. It's amazing to see.
So, Matt will assign a location for someone to scare in, but he never said anything about the character they would be playing.
The actual character costuming and I guess character development is all built within them. We'll select a room for them or a scene. So let's say if you were chosen for the subway scene, we're going to give you a bunch of ideas. They say you could be a passenger on the subway, you could be the train conductor, you could be a janitor on the platform. And we kind of let them at that point use their imagination to create something. And then from there, we bring them in for our costume workshop where we help them with distressing their costume, creating different cool techniques to make their costume really stand out and be unique. But I just enjoy seeing the creativity. Some of them are just, they blow my mind as far as some of the things that they're doing. Just, it's really cool to see that. And to me, a lot of times I can look at something and say, okay, that would scare our guest.
So why? Why do countless people flock to the abandoned haunted house complex to scare others. Why do even more people come here to be scared?
The biggest thing with horror is people just enjoy the ability to just let themselves loose. You know, everyone loves watching horror movies. You know, there's a reason for that. Horror is, goes back, hundreds of years. I think when you come to a haunted house, people can really just let themselves get engulfed into the environment and really feel like they're a part of that real life horror movie as they're going through it.
And why does Matt do it? It's a long and mostly frigid off-season, full of hard work.
For me, my motivation comes from when we do our first walkthrough with our actors. Just them seeing what's new, their excitement. They're excited to be back, but they're excited to see really what's new as well. And that just seeing their excitement kind of helps me stay motivated throughout the entire season. And then obviously, with them being excited, them loving it, I know our guests are definitely going to love it. One thing I really love about this business is it gives people the ability to see our artwork, right? We've always looked at the haunted house as like a giant art project. Essentially, we shut down in September the art project so we can have guests come walk through and look at it. And then once the last customer goes through, we're right back into our art project, making it even bigger and better. So it's just a never-ending art project.
Been a failure. The test results show that your sick admiration for haunted houses has increased tenfold. I am truly at a loss. Never, all my years in this business, have I ever seen a case as bad as yours. But we're in too deep. You can't possibly go back now, and you won't. I have taken the liberty of booking you a permanent stay in our finest padded cell. Maybe there, and with enough time, you can still be saved. Thank you for joining me in my office this evening. I wish you all the best. And I hope, at the very least, that you have enjoyed your time here with me. Goodbye.